So I recently experienced for the first time both Avatar TV shows, their comics, and the movie. And despite a few bumps here and there, I had a ton of fun. And just like a big percentage of the population, I ended up adoring this world and franchise. That's why I decided to rank every Korra episode. Why not The Last Airbender? Because Cosmodor already did it, of course, but don't take that as a jab at Korra. I liked the show, even if it had some glaring issues, and I wouldn't be willing to do this who knows how long video if I didn't enjoy the show in any capacity. Just keep in mind, I'm no Avatar encyclopedia. I've watched all these episodes just once, and some of the meanings and values may have slipped. And of course, this is just my opinion. No need to agree with me on any of this. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Man, is this going to be hard. Number 52, The Spirit of Competition. After The Last Airbender's romance was largely straightforward and uninterested in drama, I was beyond disappointed in finding out this show was tangling up itself in not one, but two love triangles. It turned out to only focus on one, but that just makes this episode even more infuriating. They also threw in this tournament thing that I have a hard time caring for, and Amon, despite being recently set as a scary, dangerous villain, is hardly even mentioned. I don't know what crossed the writer's mind in this one, but I'm certainly not into it. Number 51, Remembrances, the obligatory recap episode of this show. Again, after Aang's incredible subversion of the trope with the Ember Island players, a generic recap just feels soul draining. Beric's retelling was very funny, but aside from that, this episode lacks any real value. I heard there was a huge budget cut on this one, and that is very sad, but sorry, that's not gonna make me suddenly enjoy this episode. Number 50, Peacekeepers. Korra was clearly a sinking ship at this point, and so we witnessed the most contrived, emotionless way of ending their relationship the show could have gone with. Mako just had to obey to an unestablished oath. There's also some Bolin shenanigans, and Mako's incredibly shallow mystery case is introduced, but not much more than that. Number 49, Light in the Dark. Never thought that a flashy, epic season finale would be in the same tier as a couple breakup, but here we are. From Korra's blue transformation, pulling Rava out of Unavaru's chest, to Jinora's magical appearance, it's absolutely mesmerizing the amount of mind-f***ing moments they were able to cram in one episode, which is sad considering the previous episodes actually had some solid tension and stakes. Anything good? The decision to keep the portals open sure was a cool one, I guess. This isn't damage control, shut up. Number 48, The Sting. This time Mako takes Asami to a highly dangerous mission that goes literally nowhere, only for them to be together and add fuel to the Korra fire. I mean, a forced romance is better than a forced breakup, but it's still not good, what you know. At least the ending is fairly interesting. It definitely made Beric a more nuanced character, but we wouldn't see that until the later episodes. Number 47, The Southern Lights. I don't find this episode bad because it's insulting, just mind-numbingly boring. Boy, I sure am excited for going on a quest to satisfy wise man's spiritual mumbo-jumbo. The spirit world is a cool place, but nothing that Unalaq says sells it even a tiny bit for me. The whole Turlock backstory was incredibly whatever, nothing exciting happens until the very end, and I mean that is not the face you make when a guy tells you he's about to conquer your homeland, come on man. Number 46, Civil Wars Part 2. A part of me wants to love this episode because it finally caught the bullshit of Unalaq not being evil, but it is also the episode where Korra isn't urged to fight Unalaq after he casually sent his father to lifetime jail with absolutely no proof until the judge spits the truth on her face, which sure is a lazy way of making a plot twist, isn't it? But there are some actual good things here, like Varric escalating in importance, which is nice since I love him, and the three brothers reconciling in the Air Temple, which is pretty wholesome. Number 45, Night of 1,000 Stars. Guys, there's no more book 2 episodes until number 41, I swear. This is the episode where Mako's incredibly shallow mystery case is finally resolved, hooray! But he's in jail, so all the protagonism goes to Bolin. His arc as a mover star was nothing that got any emotions out of me, and I don't think it warranted sealing Mako's victory over Barrick's evil plan, but as it is, there's nothing inherently bad about this episode. It's just damn casual and by the numbers. Number 44, Reunion. After 3 years of not crossing a word with them, Korra finally gets to see Mako and Asami. However, their meeting has to also set up Korrasami, which, I mean, A for effort, and have some sort of conflict with Wu, which goes nowhere. Where's Bolin? He's having his Zuko-style redemption arc, of course. I'm glad the show allowed his character to half redeem itself by teaming up with those he affected by working with Kuvira, and his chemistry with Beric is low-key amazing. Number 43, Day of the Colossus. This goes from the part Bataar Jr. got broken up to Hiroshi's death, and in between Beric proposes to Julie, I guess. It's clear the people working on the show overestimated how much screen time the final battle needed, and as a result it really is just 24 minutes of fighting with some good character moments as a bonus. I mean, the stakes are very high and the animation and visuals are top notch, but as far as emotional investment, there's not much to grab onto. Hiroshi's death was definitely a weak attempt at that. Number 42, Rebel Spirit.
Haha, I said it was number 41, but it was actually number 42. I sure gotcha there.
Anyways, this episode commits the absolute crime of introducing my least favorite character in Avatar canon, as well as introducing some unneeded Korra drama. But I guess it does a decent job at selling us Unalaq as a trustworthy guy, and presenting some cool tension between Korra, her parents, and Tenzin. Again, the handling of spirit stuff in this first book 2 episode is kinda uninteresting, but hey, we can mostly blame the next episode for that. Number 41, Endgame. I find a lot of stuff in this episode really cool, particularly the blood-bending of Amon, Asami's defeating of her father, and that slick 2-kill combo. But this is a controversial Korra finale, which means there are some plot contrivances. I had a 2-hour discussion about Korra airbending with a friend, so I really want to skip that topic today, but that Aang ex machina in the end is just unforgivable. It makes you think, oh okay, so nothing that happened since the season started actually mattered cause Korra can just fix it, which is like the lamest thing a show can strive for. Most of the episode is kinda epic, it just f***ed up way too much while approaching the finish line. Number 40, The Calling. I can't remember how much of this episode is focused on Korra having glorious conversations with Toph. I mostly remember it for being that one episode where Milo gets way too much screen time. Having the 3 kids go on a mission alone was a decent enough idea, and we got to know Ikki a lot considering she was basically a glorified extra beforehand. The incredibly weird subplot of the Earth Empire guys wasn't of my interest, but Korra getting the mail out was very cool. Number 39, The Voice in the Night. Seeing the unbelievable string of luck Mako gets in this episode, I was sure Asami would turn out to be evil, somehow explaining her willingness to date a random street guy. But no, it was actually just an unbelievable string of luck with the purpose of making some love drama. Luckily enough, the episode immensely makes up for this by having Turlock manipulating Korra into joining his army and giving us one of the most fear-inducing moments of the show. Wow, what a turnaround. Number 38, The Last Stand. Yay, another season finale! And this one even has the benefit of being the series finale, despite not bringing up anything that ran across all 52 episodes, but okay, Nick didn't exactly make it easy. The fight was alright, we got one great Mako moment for once, Kuvira gets a pretty odd conclusion, there is an actual answer to the moral question of monarchy which is nice, and Korrasami's a thing. As far as Korra ships go, it's far from low tier, but something bigger than a blush would have gone a long way in actually establishing it beforehand. Again, seeing as this is a lesbian couple, Nick and many conservative countries didn't exactly make it easy, but again, that's not gonna make me magically like it. Shipping aside, I didn't find the finale all that compelling, but at least it got its closures right. Number 47, The Guide. If this episode was just about Tenzin and Genera's relationship and heritage, I would probably put it way higher. But we also get some force Masami. Also, Mako gets framed. Ooh, super exciting stuff. Focusing on the good parts though, I really like Genera's arc introduction, and Tenzin gets some nice character development as well. The idea that his biggest goal in life was gonna be accomplished by her daughter is both sad and beautiful, so well done episode. Number 36, A Leaf in the Wind. I was able to enjoy it a lot due to a lack of any romantic tension, despite the fact that it's mostly an episode about a sport competition, which is hardly ever engaging. For once, the writers knew about this though, so they made it relate to Tenzin's airbending teaching, which was pretty nice. Number 35, Original Airbenders. An odd break from Saufu and Team Avatar to focus on Tenzin being a terrible teacher. I enjoyed this episode for what it is. It has good character moments, has a nice development for Jinora, and it even gives Pema something cool to say. The whole Hunter guy's problem felt a bit too fabricated for my liking, but the fight was fun nonetheless. For a single plot episode, it may drag a little bit, but nothing that really bothered me. Number 34, Civil Wars Part 1. An episode about Unalaq being evil but pretending not to and everyone believes him. Why is this so high? Oh yeah, the fight of the three siblings in the temple. They made Aang dirty on this one, but I really appreciate having this moment of reflection and discord between Tenzin, Kai and Bumi. It definitely made their relationship a lot more human. And fine. I guess Torlak's choice of respecting her daughter's wishes was cool, even if he is a bit of a dummy for not punching Unalaq's face when he could've. I know I would. Number 33, The Coronation. This episode has the most amount of granny tough, so it's automatically good, but I've gotta admit, Kuvira has a nice villain speech here, and even a character as annoying as Wu gets a little bit of development. Bolin being a bit of an idiot was frustrating, and I honestly don't know how to feel about Korra having metal inside her body as a way to explain her inability to fight, but as a conflict setup, this episode gets the job done. Number 32, Beyond the Wilds. So someone decided to cram in like 20 billion subplots in this one for some reason. You've got Bolin's return to Republic City, a lot of military and political talk, Spirit Vines start attacking the city, Korra goes to talk to Sahir about her emotional issues, and Bolin makes an attempt at getting Opal back. Getting Korra to talk to the man who f***ed up her life was a good choice. Didn't expect him to actually solve her problems, but it led to a good arc conclusion, I guess. Opal was just spitting facts over Bolin, and after how idiotic he acted the entire season, I enjoyed that a lot. But oh boy, is there a lot going on here, what is pacing at this point? Number 31, The Revelation. Discovering Makora is always a pleasant way of ruining your day, but it is also the first episode where an actual threat is formally introduced, and at that, it's pretty good. Amon looks terrifying, his ideology is pretty interesting, and he even seemed to be able to energy bend. Nice Deus Ex Machina subversion right there. Amon definitely had a lot of room to grow as a threat, but as it stands, his introduction is pretty solid. Too bad that's just half the episode. Number 30, Welcome to Republic City. After watching The Last Airbender, this episode is absolute whiplash. Like, I wasn't expecting Aang to be alive, but I didn't expect to have Widow, Katara and Dead Sok as well. Plus the new city, the advancements in technology, the use of metal bending, it's all pretty wowing. Korra may not be everyone's cup of tea, but seeing her being mature and careless really sells you the character, and Tenzin is just the best. Why is it only 30? Well, cause there's not really a conflict. The episode ends with Tenzin saying, okay, never mind, you can stay, and only teases the baddie. At least the first episode of Avatar was directly followed by a second part. This doesn't have that pleasure. Oh well. Number 29, The Earth Queen. Definitely a fan pleaser. We get to see the new Ba Sing Se, Mako and Bolin's family, and even the new Earth Queen, who's the most hateable character ever, but unlike some other guy, this actually plays to the show's favor. Some highlights include the really touching grandma moment, Mako and Bolin babysitting Kai, and some nice old Zuko social interaction. Much like the first episode, it's the foundation for better things to come, so it's not exactly mind-blowing. The ending gets you kinda pumpy though. Number 28, The Ultimatum. Mako and Bolin's escape from Ba Sing Se is fine enough, Korra talking to Zuko was good, and though a bit overused, it's always nice to see Iroh. But yeah, the real kicker is that fight. Not much to say really, just seeing the first airbending matchup in the show, plus some great animation and astounding choreography is all I need to enjoy this episode. Number 27, A New Spiritual Age. A both disturbing and chilling trip into the spirit world. A place you know I'm not super into, even if I'll admit it's nice on its own right. This is the first time we see Iroh in Korra, where he offers some damn fine advice as usual. Jinora gets a lot of character focus here, which is great, and also gets to visit my favorite spirit from The Last Airbender that's actually really cool. Yeah, they had to make him pals with Unalaq, but whatever. Oh, and the ending is pretty heartbreaking. Number 26, Enemy at the Gates. We're halfway through, and what better episode to serve as the show's half-peak than with a half-baked character arc? Okay, fine, Bolin's arc with Kuvira was not bad, but it certainly didn't satisfy me. Luckily, that's just a fraction of what happens in this episode, and the rest is honestly pretty cool. This comes before the Battle of Saufu, so nothing really, happens, but the build-up, the tension, the anger of the characters, it's all really spot on, and the part where Shu Li pretends to betray Barrick is priceless. Number 25, Skeletons in the Closet. Always love when an episode with no interesting storytelling gets a ton of praise simply because it's a lore vomiter. But in all fairness, this is at least some great vomited lore. Getting to know Amon and Turlock, their childhood, and the abuse of their father is honestly really crude. Back in the present, not much seems to be happening, but hey, the season finale certainly satisfied that crowd. Number 24, Long Live the Queen. I really wanted to put this higher, cause Saheer infiltrating Ba Sing Se, killing the Earth Queen in the most shocking way possible, unleashing chaos across the Earth Kingdom, it's all really awesome. But Korra and Asami had to team up with a bunch of nobodies to outrun a random sand monster. Never before have I seen such a disparity between plots A and B of the same episode, not gonna lie. Number 23, A Breath of Fresh Air. Since the creators had a clear picture of how the show would end by then, they were confident in the ideas presented here. The appearance of Airbenders, the introduction of Saheer, even Korra-Sami gets a bit of setup. Though the best moments are the ones in which the characters are just talking. The conversations between Tenzin and his children, and Korra and the newly found Airbender are really heart-touching. Too positive for spot 23? Okay, why did Raiko exile Korra? Like, doesn't he want to remove the spirit vines or what? There we go. Number 22, Rebirth. Yo, 2 consecutive episodes both in the show and in the ranking. It's almost as if this ranking was poorly constructed and based on random picking. I mean nothing. But really, this just feels like an evolution of the last episode in every way. Saheer gets to flex his powers more, we get to know another Airbender who ends up being a really likable character all around, and hey, it's Zuko! Not a ton to say here, just a nice episode that continues the plot. Number 21, The Aftermath. Remember how I said Asami casually starting to date Mako felt way too convenient? Well, as it turns out, that was just a complicated plan to set up her father as a baddie. And yeah, that is a great direction. Not only does it develop Asami into a more sympathetic character, but it also adds a layer of depth to the conflict. I will say I'm not too hot on the episode treating the final reveal as some sort of twist when it was stupidly obvious from the get-go, but if it means getting a super stylish incognito investigation scene, then I'm all for it. Number 20, The Metal Clan. Here we are introduced to my favorite city in all of Avatar. It isn't just its inhabitants, but also its look and mechanism. It's all great. Getting to know more of Lin and Toph's family was awesome. Bolin and Opal are pretty cute, and Saheer on the Air Temple was kinda random, but at least we got some needed Kai action. The tension between Lin and Sue is definitely the standout, but once again, the next episode gets 90% of the credit for that. Number 19, Harmonic Convergence. The more I think about it, the more I realize how Korra's Book 2 finale was not completely terrible. The last episode sure is, but the build up to it is actually pretty solid. There's a lot of action coming from multiple characters, Boomy gets a standout scene for once, most of the visuals are absolutely clean, and overall the tension is pretty high. Can't blame anyone for feeling meh about this one knowing what happens next, but as a first time viewer this was a pretty cool ride. Number 18, After All These Years. Probably the best season premiere of the show. It has a sweet time jump that has all the characters changing new exciting directions and bold in. We get to see the Air Nation in full action, and Kuvira gets a pretty convincing introduction. Even if she ended up as just another dictator, her deceptive means of unifying the Earth Kingdom are surprisingly impactful. And to top it all off, we get the revelation that Korra has been in incognito mode for the last 6 months. Definitely gets you pumped for the next episode. Number 17, Operation BEIFONG. Ima get a lot of flames for saying this, but this episode is a better version of The Boiling Rock. It has only one part, which is nice. Toph interacting with her family was certainly entertaining, the entire escape plan was pretty cool, and though obvious, Julie's little rebel moment is great. Wish they would have done a bit more with Lin and Toph's conflict than a sorry though. Number 16, Kuvira's Gambit. Before it begins, we get some nice military mumbo-jumbo. Kuvira blows up this base, killing everyone inside it. Quite a shocker really. She quickly gets into the Republic City in order to take it over, but our heroes spice things up by way too easily capturing Batar Jr. But just when you thought this was all a bit too convenient, we get two of my favorite moments of the show. Sue talking to her son, and Batar changing sides not because her mother told him, but because her fiancé shot a deadly laser directly into him. Now that's what I call a good character turnaround. Yes, a giant robot is stupid, but hey, gets a heck of a lot worse later. Number 15, Enter the Void. I hold some grudge to this one because it turned my favorite villain of the show into an Asphalt fairy, but other than that, this episode gets a lot right. Seeing the Metal Clan in action, especially Lin and Sue as a team, is sublime. Bolin lava bending was probably the best thing they ever did to his character, Police's death was the most what the moment of the series no doubt, and Kai gets his moment to shine. Number 14, Turning the Tides. Amon starts capturing the councilmen, filling rooms with gas left and right, throwing his entire army the city. Kuvira got nothing on this guy. However, the episode is not empty of its good emotional moments, like Pema having her kid and Ling making a selfless act to save Tencent's family. I'm gonna ignore anything related to Mako and Asami in this episode for the rest of time, because with that out of the equation, we've got a great, intense setup for a below average finale, but still. Number 13, The Stakeout. 2 spots ago, I said Sahir was my favorite villain of Korra, and this episode is pretty much why. He may not throw a punch here or kill a queen, but his dialogue, his attitude, it's all so right. We get to know his morals, his beliefs, his ideology. He's not about sending his allies to eternal delusion, sure, but his anarchic ideas work so well considering not too many episodes ago we saw an actual monarch do all those things he's against. Truly a great episode. Oh wait, we spent half an episode with Bolin and Asami playing some board game before getting to that part. Number 12, The Terror Within. This thing doesn't fool around. Like 2 minutes in and Korra has been put to sleep and kidnapped. We get a lengthy yet amazing fight scene where a lot of characters get deserved spotlight, and then the episode turns into a thriller. We're led to believe some random Joe is evil until this moment in which the music does a
"Yo, this is important"
moment, and thus it's permanently obvious that the guy with the glasses is the baddie. But still, it was a very good plot twist. And just in case that didn't leave an impact on you, the guy literally blows up his house all of a sudden. Just wow. Number 11, The Battle of Saufu. Though kinda mad for pulling a convenient trauma attack, this one left a surprising impact on me. Just seeing the BEIFONGs, characters who I got to really like, losing their homes to 2 other members of their family really makes you feel bad for them, and Kuvira certainly got a few bonus points for that one. You would assume Bolin and Beric would make a less interesting plot in comparison, and you'd be right, but I still really liked it. Like, Varric low-key attempted suicide just to make Batar Jr. look like an idiot. If that doesn't sell you on his character, I don't know what will. Number 10, When Extremes Meet. When you begin this episode, it seems to be a The Last Airbender wannabe, with the whole Team Avatar and stuff, plus we got this monstrosity of a scene. But then the episode decides it doesn't want to be bad, and throws anything Tarlok related at the screen. He starts being a total dictator, oppressing people physically, and sending Korra's friends to jail. Both in speech and in battle, his confrontation with Korra is awesome, and with that full moon less bloodbending, I don't think they could have made him more scary. Number 9, Darkness Falls. Again, when ignoring the Book 2 finale, I was surprised to see how actually good this one is. Vadu fuses with Unalaq, we get this 2 Avatar combat, Rava is ripped out of Korra and then gets fucking murdered, while all the past Avatars get Thanos snapped in front of our eyes. Some people take issue with this decision, and I completely understand it, but man did it make me feel something. Korra is even left and avatared for the rest of the episode, and though that ends up amounting to nothing, it left the deepest of impressions on me. We can't forget the quest to find Jinora either, since we get easily the best Tenzin moment of the entire show with it. Number 8, and the winner is, yes, I'm going to pronounce it that way. This episode is one spiky graph. It has some love backstory between Tenzin and Lin, it focuses on the tournament, and then BAM! Amon appears, everything descends into madness, he takes away the bending of the champion, and then Korra and Lin start doing this crazy shit. This is the episode that really sells Amon for me. Previously he's shown scary and powerful, but now he's a flat-out terrorist, and that's pretty edgy, but I love it. Number 7, Old Wounds. The Metal Clan was the foundation, but this one gets all the bullets. Having Lin go through an intense psychological process to deal and accept her sister's mistake was great, but not as much as actually getting to see her and Sue's backstories. Their confrontation is tense and crude, but it's satisfying because of how earned it feels. Plus we get Bolin's struggle with metal bending, Opal's struggle with her desire to become an air nomad, and their relationship gets a few inches cuter. Lin and Sue's reconciliation kinda appeared out of nowhere though. Like the last thing they did was fight to levels above injury. I don't know, still an awesome episode. Number 6, Korra alone. Even if I'm not a big fan of the handling of Korra's trauma in book 4, I'll admit Korra alone gets a lot right. It has the main character vulnerable, not struggling with larger-than-life foes, but actual relatable disabilities, exploring her unwillingness to move on because of her pain, all perfectly illustrated by this incredibly scary Korra thingy. The pace of this episode is not for everyone. It does have only one plot after all, but I think it was necessary to deliver on the premise, and seeing Toph in the end probably made it worth the wait anyways. Number 5, In Harm's Way. An absolute thrill from beginning to end. Sanhir and the rest rescue Peli, we get some really awesome combat, we see the Daily being absolute dicks, the escape has you at the edge of your seat, and having all the airbenders counterattack the Daily was absolutely breathtaking. It really does wonders looking back at it after watching the whole book, because everything that Sanhir fights against is shown here, authoritarian monarchy and all, and that's villain comprehension at its finest. Besides, it gave a closure to the Airbender search in a believable, wholesome way. Number 4, Beginnings Part 1. The redemption arc of Book 2 itself. The idea of getting to know the first Avatar, the origin of his powers, the elements and the nations is a super attractive one, and Beginnings certainly delivers. One is an extremely likable character, his arc is enticing and everything's an all-around great fan service trip, which contrary to popular belief isn't a bad thing. Rav and Baru certainly leave newcomers confused, but luckily there's a part 2, which we haven't talked about yet. Number 3, Out of the Past. Yes, Aang's flashback is obviously amazing. We see him, Sokka and Toph in their older selves, we discover Yakon's stupidly OP powers, and things get very twisted if you know what I mean. But I seriously have mad respect for the rest. Well, aside from the parts where Asami is talking. The prison break is intense, Turlock gets absolutely insane, and then Amon appears. Turlock bloodbends him but Amon resists the effect, and now he's even scarier than before. And then Korra does this incredibly out of character big brain move and escapes and, well, I think you've got the point. Number 2, Venom of the Red Lotus. Despite the new flying powers of Sahir, I still find this to be a beyond great season finale. Everything regarding Korra's kidnapping and consequential torturing is shivering and I love it. She starts getting all visiony, manages to escape but she's vulnerable and can't do much with her avatar state. Meanwhile, Bolin gets a rematch with the lava guy and Minghua gets electrified to presumable death with an amazing move on Mako's part. Having Sahir beaten by airbenders was probably the best villain defeat of the show, and everything I said is nothing compared to the ending. Korra is on a wheelchair, incapable of doing anything, as she watches the Air Nation rise again in an attempt to fill her shoes, with Jinora looking just like Aang, and it's so cathartic but it's also so sad. Whatever, let's just get to number 1. Yes, it's Beginnings Part 2. Hooray! Long live binary and challenging concepts of morality and lazily designed gods. Either way, this episode is so good, it makes you forget about all of that. Suddenly, the entire world is at stake because of one's actions. He has to amend himself, learn the elements and join Rava to stop this world-ending threat. And we feel it. We feel the world changing. We feel the regret of one. But we also see Rava changing, becoming fonder of him, accepting him as a friend. So when we get to the part in which she fuses with one, it's not only amazing for Avatar fans, but it's also fitting and beautiful. The fight with Varu is absolutely off the charts, and seeing one die was a very low move that I can't praise enough. The best episode of Korra doesn't even have Korra. 0 out of 10, worst show ever. Watch Planet Shin instead.